Cleanliness is next to godliness.
I'll make my own decisions. What a stupid thing to say. Lord, I need you every day.
This is not in the Bible. I had a friend that just could not comprehend that I only washed my hair twice a week. She just couldn't get that there were people that existed that didn't wash their hair every day. And she consistently harped on my lack of cleanliness. Her version of lack of cleanliness. And I only shower every other day. She was horrified by this. She just couldn't wrap her mind around the fact that I wasn't dirty because of these practices. Well, this saying is actually quite old. Nowadays, marketing tells us that we need to use their products every single day. How clever of them. Americans way over-chemical themselves with hygiene products and cleaners because we've been convinced of this age-old proverb. And people have been convinced that smelling good or having a good scent to you means clean. But I digress. I could go on and on about this topic, but I won't. Anyhow, John Wesley was thought to have coined this particular phrase in the late 1700s. In a sermon about dressing in an untidy manner. He didn't claim that this was in the Bible. In fact, what he said was, the Bible doesn't condemn neatness in apparel. And as humans do, we assigned motives and added to what he said and took it 7 miles further. Jesus said this, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they're full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup so that the outside of it may also be clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You're like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of the bones of the dead and every kind of impurity. In the same way, on the outside, you seem righteous to people, but inside, you're full of hypocrisy and lawlessness." Okay, now God actually understood germs and bloodborne pathogens long before scientists did. And he gave the Israelites butchery laws for bloodborne pathogens and hygiene laws and sickness laws and kosher laws. Levitical laws were given for a reason. Bloodborne pathogens can be absolutely deadly if they aren't taken care of properly. Thus, God's butchery rules for all the sacrifices. And when we avoid eating scavengers like pig, lizard, shrimp, lobster, the cleanup crew, then we avoid their parasites as well. They're the cleanup crew for waste, because that's what God designed the cleanup crew as. There's a reason why we wash our hands after we use the bathroom. And unfortunately, medicine learned the hard way about not washing their hands between patients. Women died in childbirth. Patients died of infections because they went from one person to the other without cleansing themselves. They were just dragging around infection, taking it from one person to another. My dentist doesn't even let you sit in his chair unless they watch you wash your hands first. This is what David said after Nathan confronted him about Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite, her husband. Be gracious to me, God, according to your faithful love, according to your abundant compassion. Blot out my rebellion. Completely wash away my guilt and cleanse me from my sin. For I am conscious of my rebellion, and my sin is always before me. Against you, you alone have I sinned, and done this evil in your sight. So you are right when you pass sentence. You're blameless when you judge. Indeed, I was guilty when I was born. I was sinful when my mother conceived me. Surely you desire integrity in the inner self, and you teach me wisdom deep within. Purify me with hyssop, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. Let me hear joy and gladness. Let the bones you have crushed rejoice. Turn your face away from my sins and blot out all my guilt. God, create a clean heart for me and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not banish me from your presence or take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore the joy of your salvation to me and sustain me by giving me a willing spirit. Then I'll teach the rebellious your ways, and sinners will return to you. Save me from the guilt of bloodshed. God, God of my salvation, and my tongue will sing of your righteousness, Lord. Open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. You do not want sacrifice, or I would give it to you. You're not pleased with a burnt offering. The sacrifice pleasing to God is a broken spirit. You will not despise a broken spirit and humbled heart, God. In your good pleasure, cause Zion to prosper. Build the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will delight in righteous sacrifices, whole burnt offerings. Then bulls will be offered on your altar. God is the one who can cleanse our messes. True cleanliness is a work that God does in us, not something we can achieve. While good hygiene, not eating the cleanup crew, and being super careful with bloodborne pathogens will help us be good stewards of the bodies that God gives us and help us not to pass on nasties to other people. Let's remember that we can't work our way to salvation. We cannot cleanse the dirtiness on us. It's by grace through faith in the finished work of Jesus that leads us to salvation and godly living, not cleanliness. The Holy Spirit purifies us spiritually, not water. And as usual, thank you for being here, and hit the subscribe button right there, and click the bell, and hit the like, and I will see you next time. Blessings.
We were made to show the love of Christ. We know this is why we're here. This is why he gave us life. So let his love shine through in everything we do. It's all for love.